Welcome to this UND Insider Weekly Extra. Let's talk about football first of all. UND coming off extremely frustrating loss to Eastern Washington last Saturday, one of the top teams in the country, and now they're back at home again against Sacramento State. First of all, Tom, that was that was a hard one to take last Saturday, wasn't it? They, realistically had a chance to win that football.
When you look at the stats especially, I think the total offense was something like 408 to 406. Time of possession, very close to. Only difference, 4 turnovers to 0 turnovers. And that's the frustrating part, like Coach Musman has been talking about, is when you look at those turnovers, you got 3 different guys fumbling. It's hard to pinpoint exactly how you go about correcting some of those things when it's everybody just seems to be taking their turn sometimes. But there were encouraging signs. You saw a lot better effort out of the defense. That score isn't exactly indicative of how well that defense played. If they can continue to make strides defensively, they should be in the remainder of the games because the schedule does get easier, as we've talked about.
One of the things I've been was shocked at seeing, because we saw it in the Montana game where there was a pile and the whistle didn't come and the whistle didn't come, and sure enough got stripped and went the other way. And you see basically the same thing unfold when Kenny Galladay and it's getting a little push from behind, but it's almost a stalemate down kind of inside the 10-yard line, and sure enough, whistle doesn't come. You're waiting for that whistle, never comes, and sure enough, you have a turnover. And that's just to that point, I was actually very impressed with the way UND responded after that very heartbreaking turnover for a touchdown pick six. Everything looked like everybody was still on board. Everybody was still kind of, still at the drive, and that one really hurt. It was just the way that played out, to see that turnover happen the way it did, because it just brought back all those memories, flooded back of the Montana game where they kind of dug one out of the pile there too.
I think that's the best thing that came out of that, was the fact that they had a lot of adversity. They did some things, some undisciplined things again that they've done, but they battled through the whole thing. I think the compete level through that whole thing, which I'm not sure we saw at times against Montana State in particular, maybe even Montana, but I think that was a big plus, don't you think?
Well, I think fans walked away with a very different feeling after that game. It wasn't a really discouraged, disappointing result, just because of the fact that they were in that game 21-14, looked like they were about to make it 21-21, and then things went a little sour on them. But like you said, it didn't have that snowball effect like those Montana State games did.
What do you think, Brad, a team, when they come off a performance like that, now they're getting back into a little more realistic, because they've been playing these top 5 teams in the country. Sacramento State is not a top 5 team in the country.
I think now is the first time we get into games for the UND football team this year where we don't know at all what's going to happen. I think before we had an idea, that they were going to beat Idaho State, that they were going to beat Valpo. We had an idea they weren't going to beat the top 10 teams in the country. Now we have no idea what's going to happen. So now the mystery starts, and we'll find out exactly where this team falls in the big sky in the national picture with their play the last 5 weeks here.
Paul, you're down on the field. What do you think?
Well, I was encouraged with the way the players handled themselves. I've been, none of the players, in my indication, are happy, especially the veterans are happy with the losses, even to the teams that maybe, fans didn't expect them to win against Montana State, Eastern Washington. But none of the players are accepting of that. If I caught them accepting of it, then I thought, well, we would be in trouble. But the reality of it is they're not accepting, and I think they're looking forward to this final stretch because they want to, they want to put something out there that they can leave a legacy on, and that starts Saturday with Sacramento State.
Let's talk a little soccer here now with Matt Kellogg's team getting their first Big Sky win. That's huge, isn't it?
I think so. I went on and saw Friday's game against Montana, and I thought, they struggled mightily on that Thursday game or on that Friday game. They just couldn't get anything going. They couldn't really sustain any possession or pressure. And I thought, that doesn't really set up well for Sunday's matchup against Eastern Washington, where I think it was a complete flip and turnaround by this team. They were able to create chances. They were able to possess the ball. They were able to counter well. I think that's encouraging. You just need something to kind of go right for you in that situation, and it did Sunday. And I think hopefully they can build some confidence off of it and hopefully get a couple more wins down the road.
What does the schedule hold for them?
Well, I think they've got, some of the toughest Big Sky teams coming up here. I think they'll have like Portland State coming up down the road, and a few others that are very talented. But again, you get a little confidence. You know that you're able to compete on that level, and even though Eastern Washington has had their struggles too, once you have success, hopefully it breeds success.
Thanks to Tom and Brad and Paul. That's your UND Insider Weekly. Next.